Jerry, shall we start now or shall we wait?
Go ahead, Pak.
Okay. Thank you everyone for joining our webinar, our first webinar together with our esteemed colleagues from PurpleCube. That is Mr. Khan, Raheel, and Mr. Rajvir, Kaushal. Um, we thank everyone for joining this meeting, and we are very delightful and really appreciate for you attending this meeting. I am sure that this meeting will bring about solutions to many of our problems. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Arief Hasani, and I'm a CTO of Sibernetik, the host of this webinar. And the essence of this webinar will be a solution to what we all currently facing. That is where we have gone beyond um, the phase of data collection. We already have too much data, and we all know where when we have a data pipeline and processing, once they are allocated and sit on the silo, we have never been able to actually derive meaningful value from them. They are just directly being written and used by the respective application that we are designing those data for. And also for our data engineers, yes, we are aware, and our data scientists, they've been collecting and using and doing the magic things with the data and then presenting our information. We haven't been able to unify and have one screen where we all be able to see and control and monitor and govern this siloed data. And today, I am really excited to also, it is also for me to listen from our colleagues from PurpleCube, how they have a unified platform to orchestrate and also to directly incorporate the current technology, the cutting edge technology of generative AI for our data. And I am also, for this meeting, I'm just a mere moderator. Um, Not that my colleague here, Mr. Khan, and also Mr. Rajvir require moderation. They are very technically skillful and wild manner, unlike me. Um, for them to be moderated. However, I will be looking forward also from your our interaction during this meeting, and that might be require my moderation. And those interaction will be at the end of the session um, at around 2:50. Um, because this presentation is in English, for anyone, please do not hesitate to require any translation or any further explanation during the presentation. However, on the deepest question and subjects, of course, please reserve those questions for the question and answer session. That is from me, and of course, it is my honor to be able to hand over the screen to Mr. Khan. It's all yours, Mr. Khan.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me quickly share my screen and get a confirmation that you are able to see my screen. Yeah, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, confirm,
Okay,
Mr. Khan.
fantastic, great. Well, thank you for that lovely introduction. Thank you for welcoming us. Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone joining us from around the globe. There are some customers also outside Indonesia. And selamat datang to our Indonesian colleagues and customers. I hope I said that right.
You are.
Okay,
Thank you,
great.
Slamet.
So my name is Raheel Khan, and I'm the co-founder and chief revenue officer at PurpleCube. My role is to drive business and revenue growth for the company, and I work with strategic partners like Sibernetik to help our joint customers solve their data challenges, and to help them become truly data-driven organizations. I've been in the IT business for over 25 years now in various regions, with most of my career in the data analytics space. So yeah, I've worked with large data companies like Informatica, Denodo, Zaloni, before co-founding PurpleCube. So that's kind of my brief background. And I'm really honored to be here today to discuss, as Arief said, this exciting transformation that is happening in the data engineering space. And it truly feels like we are stepping into a new era. With the integration of generative AI or Gen AI in the data engineering space, we are unlocking a world of new possibilities and innovations. And I believe that this is more than just an evolution, right? This is reshaping the way we think about data, automation, and then intelligence. All right. So moving on, in the next 15 minutes or so, what we will cover is the global digital imperatives every organization today is embarking on. Then we will see how data engineering, and more specifically Gen AI data engineering, is going to play a crucial role in the success of these imperatives. And finally, we will also look at how embedding Gen AI is enabling that data orchestration and seamless automation, and how it's changing the landscape forever. So, right, talking about the digital imperatives, right? It's very clear that most of the organizations today around the world, they are moving to the cloud. They are adopting the AI, and they are also moving to automation, right? Now, gone are those days when organizations were still wondering if we should get into these initiatives. I think that conversation has now completely changed from if to how, right? How can I make it more relevant? And how can I make it more effective for my organization? Through our numerous discussions with various clients that we have on regular basis, it is very clear that the success in these initiatives, they hinge on the enterprise data, right? And that goes to say that without a solid foundation of data strategy, these initiatives, they are likely to fail, which basically means that only if you have your data strategy and your data governance and your data platforms all aligned together, only then you are living in that perfect world that I talked about, right? And if that is the case, then you got it all, right? You are a data driven organization. And if you are a data driven organization, then you are able to process and deliver that data in real time. You are able to prioritize the data sets as data products, which is with the highest level of trust. And most importantly, you are able to embed that data in the decision making, in a day-to-day decision making, in your interactions, in every process your organization is carrying out. Now, of course, that's the perfect world, right? And we don't live in a perfect world. But yes, organizations are moving in that direction. But we also see that there is a gap here. Uh, so, according to a recent EMA research, 72% of companies they spoke to, they are either likely or certain to move to unified analytics, which is basically combining data warehouse and data lakes together, right? Organizations do not want to, have their data warehouse and data lake separate anymore, right? So what they're doing is they want to bring it all together. As you can imagine, having these separately is a huge overhead, and it's extremely complex to manage to run these two different platforms. So that's one scenario. But here's the bigger gap, right? The same research also indicates that most of the organizations they have failed to unify the data engineering side of things. Right? Today, a lot of organizations still have at least three or more data integration and data engineering tools. Right? In some cases, that number even goes above five. Um, Now, having so many different tools to do the same function, of course, with overlapping capabilities, increases the complexity in organizations. So the message is that what is needed is not just unification of data analytics, but also what we need is to focus on the unification of data engineering. Right? Let's quickly talk about the complexity of data engineering. And I'm sure you will all resonate with what I'm just going to tell you now. Right? It all starts, or it all has started, with our first data warehouse project back in the days, where we needed an ETL tool, right? And soon from the batch mode, we needed to move to real-time data, and then we acquired another tool for this for those functionality. And then from there, we needed application integration. And then we go and buy another tool. And fast forward, before we even realize, we get caught up in this hairball of data integration with multiple tools doing multiple integrations. And that's what I mean when I said organizations, they end up having at least three or more data integration and data engineering tools, right? And then you are faced with challenges with respect to accessing the data we need, right? Keeping the cost in control for the data processing, bringing that trust in the data so that business can consume that data more effectively. And even if you are able to get all this right, scaling remains a permanent challenge because now you have to scale so many different tools that you have acquired and so many platforms to support that enterprise-wide adoption, and that's a huge limitation in our view, right? So there are things that you cannot do with complex systems, right? Of course, you are living with those complexities. You are not able to live in that perfect world we just talked about, right? You are not able to truly support that move to cloud. You are not able to truly support that adoption of AI in the most effective manner that you should. You're not able to take the advantage of productivity gains using, generative AI, uh, and so on. And all this is validated in our various discussions with our customers on a regular basis. So I'm not going to go through all of these points, but these are, some of the things that you will. These are the complexity that hold you from becoming truly data driven. So automatically, all these limitations that we talked about, all these challenges, they have massive business impact. So let's look at the time crunch, right? Or time to market is one of the big ones in our perspective. Today, data teams, they still struggle to respond to the business requirements in time, right? Delivering those data sets, delivering that analytics in time because they are caught up in that spaghetti of crunching data through different tools which they have, right? Talking about people problems, we have multiple teams supporting different tools and processes, and the teams have to learn various technologies. Teams are overworked, and the whole approach becomes very ineffective, right? And to add to all that, the biggest challenge is the business impact and the excessive expenses that you incur, right? You are paying huge bills for various technologies that you have onboarded, your on-prem deployment, your cloud deployment. You're not able to control all this. The capabilities and the features which you have are overlapping, and you're not, truly leveraging all those features and capabilities from those different tools that you have. And this impact is huge for the organization as a whole. And the key stakeholders who are responsible to make those organization data centric and successful are struggling. So keeping these stakeholders in mind, that is, the data engineers, the data scientists, the data analysts, the data architects, the data executives, right? We believe that definitely there is a way forward, and that's what we're going to, hopefully talk about in the next couple of slides.
But Raheel,
Yes.
just before you move on to the next slides, what you've been presenting here has been, um, I was kind of like you from starting of the presentation. Now I kind of hate you because you are putting back on our, slapping back on our face on what we are dealing on day to day. It is the same old story that we've been dealing daily, that we've been preparing, especially preparing this data for the data scientist, especially the chief information officer.
Mhm.
And now our most painful requirements from our client is actually how to not sprinkle, to actually implement and re-extract all those data back again and re-implementing AI. I really wish that your next slides will be able to answer this pain point of ours.
Absolutely, absolutely, Arif.
It
That's
is our pain point.
that.
Thank you. I really thank you. Not
No,
not actually thanking you, but for reminding us on our problems.
here it is.
It is
Here
our
it is.
challenges.
Here is the solution, Arif. Don't worry. we
Okay,
we
sure.
we got your back covered. So I mean that's the whole essence of today's presentation of how
Please
we can
proceed.
bring in the Gen AI powered data engineering, right? So embedding Gen AI into data engineering could look something like this, right? Um, so first of all, a platform which can allow you to unify all your data engineering in one place. That is all data, all latencies, all in one single place, right? The same platform is or should be able to automate all your complex data environments, your complex data pipelines, so that you are able to produce those data products. And finally, activate those insights within the platform and also to extend to various platforms from analytical perspective. So all of this is happening with the real-time assistance provided by GenAI. Right? So let me now go a bit deeper into it to explain. Right. So imagine a data engineer or an analyst or a steward who can now create, schedule, and automate data pipelines for all types of data in real time. Right? They can interact with AI language models to better understand data sets. They can determine the best data quality rules, right? And they can build a business glossary instantly. Right? So no more waiting for clarifications on data tables or columns, etc., etc. Everything happens on the fly, right? This obviously leads to significant productivity gains, and fully optimized data pipelines are developed and deployed rapidly. So that's kind of how the evolution is happening with the help of Gen AI. Now, in addition, these professionals they can orchestrate their workloads based on the priority or the importance of data and the processing cost as well, right? You can now monitor your pipelines. You can self-heal any issues that may arise, and then prevent any disruptions before actually they happen. So all of this is really powered by active metadata that that allows you to instantly create business glossaries and metadata enrichments, right? Now, things that used to take months with earlier platforms or in the past, it can just happen really on the fly with the advent of the or evolution of Gen AI baked into the data engineering, right? And finally, you can transform and prepare data for business use. You can interact with it with it in plain language, in natural language, and then you can generate reports and statistics all from within a single platform. So that's kind of the essence of where things are moving with Gen AI. And with that, let me just quickly talk about PurpleCube as a platform, right? So what we've done is we've brought all of this into a single unified data orchestration platform, right? The key is our tight integration of language models with active metadata I talked about. Um, and this allows us to support all types of data and the engineering tasks that go with it. So, with the with the Gen AI, you can now create your data pipelines. You can set your data quality rules. You can plan your data migrations, all of which greatly boosts data engineer productivity. And the aim isn't to replace the data engineers, but to make their work more efficient and to bring the attention back to the I would say the vital role of data engineering. You know, PurpleCube AI, it handles orchestration, scheduling, data catalog, metadata enrichment, all in one single place with easy drag and drop, zero line of coding. Plus, it's built with strong security, and it can run in cloud, it can run on-prem, we can deploy it in hybrid environments. All of this, is possible within a single platform, offering significant savings in all areas, cost savings, resources management, and performance optimization for every organization. So that's kind of the a very high level gist of what the platform can do. Of course, we have a session where Kaushal, my colleague, is actually going to go deep dive into the platform shortly. But just before I wrap up, just wanted to quickly, look at some of the PurpleCube use cases. Right? What can be done with this platform? Um, so while our platform continues to support the traditional data engineering use cases like data warehouse automation, data lake automation, data migration, replications, customer 360, these are pretty much the standard expectation of a data platform. The integration of Gen AI, takes this to the next level, right? It brings even more powerful capabilities. So now you can analyze unstructured data with ease, right? You can perform exploratory data analytics using natural language queries. You can enhance data quality with improved assessment and benchmarking. The ability to generate and enrich metadata, I believe, is a game changer in our platform, right? This is really transforming what was once a very tedious and manual process into an efficient automated task. So the bottom line is that this innovation that we just talked about, this is bringing new possibilities, and it significantly enhances how we manage and utilize our data. Right. So that kind of concludes my presentation. We've seen how PurpleCube can help revolutionize data engineering with the power of Gen AI, how we can help drive faster time to value by maximizing efficiency, bringing innovation, how we can enable competitive analysis for our customers so that they can stay ahead of the competition, and and finally we can help them optimize their resource allocation and control cost. So that's kind of I would say. And finally, most importantly, I think I should mention how we can ensure that seamless alignment between the business stakeholders or business objectives and the data teams. I think that's kind of is the big one, so we can help unlock the full potential of data. All right. So with that, I would now hand over to my colleague Kaushal, who will go deeper into the platform and take you through the live platform in action. So thank you very much for your time. Over to you, Kaushal.
Thanks, Raheel. Greetings for the day, everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Kaushal. I am Chief Technology Officer at PurpleCube. I have more than 17 years of experience in IT. Uh, just 2.5 years back, I was leading chaos engineering, agile, and DevOps platform practices at my previous organization, which is what it really led me to PurpleCube, how to manage a big platform for an enterprise scale. That really excited me very well. And since last 2.5 years, I'm at PurpleCube. My primary roles and responsibilities are I ensure that our customers meet their objectives, primarily the data objectives, uh, as well as I'm also responsible for delivering engineering features which our customers want. I'm going to take you to platform. How does it really look, and how does it really streamlines the process across the data engineering? When I started my career, one of my leader, I was attending a town hall. He said, and that really stuck to my mind for a very long time, is that good leaders, uh, you know, they always ensure that they manage the throughput of their team on time. Right? That's the definition of a good leader. While if you really want to become good to better, you consistently manage the throughput across the time frame, right? So that's the definition of a better engineering leader. And if you really want to become best data engineer or want to become a best data engineering manager, what you really need to do is like you need to continuously optimize or innovate. Now, while we say that, how do you really continuously improve or innovate, that requires a high frequency of change in your organization and in your delivery. And which is what I feel PurpleCube really can help you with manage those high frequency of change rates in your organization. Let me quickly share my screen and explain how it will really help you streamline your uh, data operations. I hope you can see my screen. This is how exactly PurpleCube looks when you set up on your environment. This is an enterprise platform, like I mentioned. Uh, you can streamline and everything you can do. It's a complete no-code platform. Right after your platform is set up, very first thing as a data architect or data administrator or a platform administrator is to go through the admin module where you setup and configuration. And I've been a developer myself. I understand how critical and how difficult and how complex it is to configure certain platforms. Or even I want to run a simple Java or Python program. I really need to manage my virtual environment. It's pretty cumbersome. Right? With all enterprise complexities, processes, and everything, it's pretty difficult. Now, happy to tell you that PurpleCube comes with a solution where any of the license tier that you buy will help you set up this platform, as well as if you want to maintain this platform, you have all those information on administrator module, which is again a no-code solution, right? At the beginning, right after the platform is set up, the first thing that you do is that you set up your organization. If you are working for a very large company where you have multiple sub-organizations, you can create those organizations as well, and you can manage it. Since it's an enterprise platform, across these organizations, you can create various projects, and across these projects, you can enroll certain users. We also have an options for defining group of users, like, you have data engineers or you have data leaders. You want to give special common access to everyone who belongs to that group. So you can also create certain user groups, and we have a roles, which is something which you can manage across the platform, read, write, as well as monitor. And across this platform, if you think you want to create a specific customized role, that is also something which is quite possible. You can combine many of those roles which are available, and you can create a customized role for your specific user or user group. Now I'll go to configuration part. Right after you have set up your organization, you have set up your various projects, you've already onboarded your users and the user groups and everything. The first thing that comes to my mind as an engineering leader is that anything that my data engineers do in terms of creating pipelines, how do I ensure that they are taken care very well? I mean, as a programmer, I always work on Bitbucket or GitHub kind of a repository. Similarly, it's even though it's a no-code platform, if you want to manage your throughput of your team, the real output of the data pipelines, you can set up your repository settings. Again, it's completely no-code. You can see that you can choose your own repository. It could be SharePoint, it could be file server, it could be Bitbucket, GitHub kind of a repository. You just configure it and things are pretty much good to go. If you are worried about the security, who logs into your platform and everything, you can also allow your users or your data engineers to log in through single sign-on. We support Azure Ready LDAP-based authentication, so your data engineers won't need to remember multiple passwords and everything, right? So there are many possibilities with this platform. Again, everything across, you can see that it's a completely no-code platform. Any configurations that you want to do, just few clicks and things are done. Now I'll go to a very important part, which is when you work with a specific data, right? It's always that you are taking the data from multiple sources and then you're putting back to your staging environment, or you're putting back to your data warehouses, and certain data types across those data sources might not be compatible with your data target. And what you need to do as a data engineer is you need to map those, or you need to convert those data types. Here, as a data architect or data project manager, what I can do is that I can choose what is my source. Let's say my source is Oracle and my target is, let's say, DB2, or it could be, let's say, Microsoft SQL. You can map those data types to a specific type to your target. And what will really happen is that any pipeline your data engineers create, in the back of those things, automatically those data type mapping between source and target would appear. So pretty convenient, right, for data engineers not to remember that, okay, whether B file is supported in Microsoft SQL or is this a data type compatible. These are some of the things which you really don't realize until you execute your Python program. Here, as a platform, we give it right in front of you without any coding experience. You can set those global standards for your team. Now, next thing which comes very important is that let's say you want to set up some load properties. When you load the data, your target, you can choose your specific data type. We support, by the way, we support more than 150 data sources and more than 50 as data target across all industry most commonly used data targets. You will be able to find it out there. So whatever target that you choose, let's say you want to put it something into Snowflake, you can see how exactly you want to load your data. Right, so what's the file format that you want to choose, whether you want to compress it, if you're working with a banking industry, or if you're working with a very sensitive data, you might need to encrypt the data before after you extract and you put it to your data warehouse, so that you meet those governance compliances. That's also quite possible out here. What you really want to do is, like, if certain error happens while you're loading data to your target, what you really want to do. So all those configurations, which are pretty difficult for data engineers to set up and to get started, is something that you will be able to find right here itself. Across all the targets that you choose, you will see those different properties coming up pretty clearly, and you can set all those things. Again, as far as the platform is concerned, when you want to run, right, so this platform extracts the data in most industry standard and scaled operations that you want to carry out. We operate on that. So platform has been designed based on Hive framework, which is pretty much standard, and large industries like Google or Facebook, those kind of companies or organizations are using this kind of framework. So they are proven to work on petabytes and exabytes of data at that scale. And across this framework for Hive or Spark, any properties that you want to set, you can find it out here. So any interaction that happens between this platform and your execution platform, where your distributed compute is staying, you can define all those properties right out here. And then again, I can say that, as a data architect or data leader, this is my first responsibility, that I can give it to my data engineers, that all configurations are properly done and it really supports the operation at scale. You can see on the screen for Hive or Spark any properties that you want to set with respect to Hive, with respect to MapReduce, any kind of configurations that you have. You can choose all those things pretty well without using any complex configuration file or doing any complex programming. So everything pretty much on the screen, a few clicks, and you are good to go. This is the most important and critical part as part of your data journey to begin. Right after that is done, then it's pretty simple and easy, and I'll show that how exactly your data engineers can accelerate their journey on data pipeline. So when it comes to creating data pipeline, the very first thought that comes is that how do I connect to various data sources? And every data source will have a unique way to connect with. Some of them might be you can connect with the JDBC driver, or some of them might be certain different protocols to connect with, right? Here, like I said, we help you connect with more than 150 data sources, and this is again happening at the most consistent way, most unified way. So when you click on data point, which is how you connect with any specific data sources, you can see a subset of connectors that we have. And depending on the connectors that you choose, a detailed properties for that specific connector would come up. And this is again based on the source that you choose. You can provide all those properties out here, and you can see that we are also maintaining those compliance specific things like what's your password. We are not exposing those things. You can also use this as a project parameter. So as a project leader, I do not want to expose this password to my data engineers. I can create those parameters. I can ask them to use that as a parameter in the background. This platform will encrypt, and it will store it as the most sensitive parameters. You can continue using that. Right after you filled up all those properties, let's say you want to test out whether this connection is working fine or not. That's the first test that you do. You can click on test data point, and you will be able to find out whether this data point is working or not, right? So across anything that you do in this platform, green messages is something you have been able to successfully do that, or red message, red color is something which error, or orange or yellow is primarily some kind of a warning which you might ignore or you might need to take care while you create a pipeline. So this is one of the example. How do you connect with SFTP? You can provide those information. Similarly, let me show you one more example for Snowflake. So again, the properties for Snowflake would appear separately. And let's say I purposefully given a wrong password. Let me see how exactly it throws the exception or error message. When you connect with this Snowflake, because the credentials that has been given for this connection is not working, you will be able to see all those error message coming out and popping out very clearly. Had this been a case where I would like to provide a correct password in order to check that this is working fine, you can just simply, I'm choosing a different connection. Again, this is a Snowflake connection only. And if I click on test data point, you will be able to see that, yes, we have been able to successfully establish a connection with any specific data source. So depending on data point, you will see those properties are changing, and accordingly you can provide those information. So very important, I've been able to connect with various kinds of data source in a most consistent and unified way. I really do not need to understand those competent and efficient libraries, which libraries and which drivers to import, whether they are meeting those compliances and vulnerability and a lot many other stuff. I can stay worry free, and I can connect with any specific data sources. And this is a pretty usual case where you work with large enterprises. Either your third-party company changes their data points, or they change their data sources, or if you are taking data from your applications, it might also happen that some of the versions of those data sources are getting sunset. You are adding new data sources. Every damn kind of these scenarios can be very well taken care. You can choose any specific data point out of the list of 150 connectors, and you can effortlessly connect. And in the background of this is a very efficient and driver-based libraries that will help you connect in the most secure and the standardized way. Now, let me move to the next thing. Right after I've been able to connect to a specific data point, the next task is to understand data frame, or how do I create a schema, right? How does and which shape my data looks like? So that's where we have a module called data object. This is the place where you can seamlessly define the schema of your data, or if you're not sure, you can click on import schema, and based on all the data points that you've created, you can choose that data table, and accordingly the schema from system will be fetched, and you will be able to see how exactly your data looks like. So let me do a simple I have already imported schema for this one, and you'll be able to see that all those information related to this table, the schema is right apparently out here. If I think I want to add something or I want to modify this, you can add, or you can delete those things, and you can save it. So primarily, again, like you see, the green message is something which tells you that you have been able to do your operations pretty successfully, right? So you can choose any specific data point based on the data source that you've created. You can use and you can view the schema. We also provide you a specific DDL statement, right? So if you really want to see how those data looks like, or if you want to see a specific data for your data source, pretty narrow. I mean, around 10 rows you will be able to see, so that if you want to do certain data profiling, that's also quite possible. You'll be able to see how your data looks like, how actually data has been stored into your tables, right? So it's pretty simple. I'm able to connect with my data point. I've been able to create a data frame. I'm just talking of the programming lingo, so that you can better connect how exactly that the pipelines or data engineers day-to-day operations are, right? So I've defined the schema. The next and most important task is, how do I create the data pipelines, right? And that's where the rubber hits the road, right? How do you seamlessly create those data flows is something that I'll be able to show you. So whenever you create certain pipeline, let's say I want to create a new pipeline, the first question this platform will ask, that where do you want to run this? What's your processing engine? Right? Because you are running on a distributed compute, when your data scale is pretty high, data volume is pretty high, you might want to use a distributed compute like Hive or Spark, or even you might need to go back to the cloud-based scalable solutions like Snowflake, Redshift, or it could also be some of the very niche on-prem solutions where you've done query optimization and you've meet the volume of your scale of your organization. So you may have your MPP platforms like Teradata. You might also have Vertica kind of a platform. You can choose any specific platform on which you want to run your pipeline. So that's the liberty, or that's the option that we give to data engineers. And this is pretty useful, that across your projects, not just the project, even at a data pipeline level, you have a flexibility to choose your processing engine. It might also happen that for your organization, one of the project has a limited and tight budget. You have given some budget to manage their entire operations on Snowflake, and some of the other team members or some of the other project members, they are expected to run BigQuery, or they're running certain on-prem solutions, which is on Oracle, or as part of your digital transformation program, you have segregated that, which are your most priority programs or applications that should run on cloud, and you're onboarding slowly based on those imperatives. So that's also quite possible that you can choose a specific project, or you can also choose a specific pipeline which you want to run on cloud, and primarily the processing engine on which you want to run. So I have certain pipelines already created. Just honoring your time, I'm just creating. I'm just opening that, and I'll show you how this platform works. On my screen left, you can see all the sources, primarily the data points and data objects that you created. I also have target, as well as I have a very complex transformation functions that you want to apply, right? And the usual way to work on this kind of a platform in a no-code solution is that you simply drag and drop. Let's say I have a certain file-based data table which I want to use within my platform. So I'll just drag and drop, and let's say this is something which I want to use. So I can simply create and drag and drop, and this will directly get applied onto a joiner. Just giving a certain example, right? So it's pretty simple. You define what are your sources, what are the transformations, or what are anything that expressions that you want to run on specific target or at specific junction, and then you can define your target. So let's say this is the last component. If you do not know, your target doesn't exist, you can also click on create target. That way, it will create a new table for you. It will run the specific queries on your target data place, and it will create the target field. So here I'm giving an example that I have two different sources. One is the reference data, the other one is the master data. So what I really want to do is like a simple Excel kind of an operations where I want to look up, I want to refer certain reference data, and accordingly I want to replace those things. So you can see that across this pipeline, whatever drag and drop things that I've done, I can perform lot many things, right? I can filter my sources. So here you can see that based on, this is an example of one of telecom customers where you want to find out that uh, which are the data sources where the cable is already laid and their status is called built. So you are filtering those records, then you are putting them into staging environment. And again, this is pretty difficult. I assure you that for data engineers, if you're running through a pipeline, or if you're creating certain programs, Python or Java program, it's most complex task to create a staging environment. Here, with just drag and drop functionality, you can create your staging, you can map your attributes, all the columns that you are getting, and then on this staging environment, you can run certain joiners, you want to run certain expressions, everything is quite possible. And I tell you, I've been pretty mediocre programmer, right? And every single time if I write certain SQL query, or even any data engineers who appear for interview, the first one of this question is always about joiner, and how does joiner function, what is left outer join, and which joiner would you prefer. So it's pretty complex, right, for data engineers. I can assure you that. So here, if you want to join something, for that joiner, we have pretty much all those properties. You can apply certain where clause. You can choose all the joiner type. You can also see that you can choose which is your primary table, which is your secondary table, and it's pretty much simple, very simple operations to apply joiner. And then again, whatever data that you get after join, you can stage them temporarily. And then if you want to apply certain expressions, so we have a pretty exhaustive list of expressions which are available. Let's say if you are working with some mathematical operations, we have absolute value. You're working with array, so we have a very exhaustive list of array or operations. Or if you, let's say you have certain regular expressions, so you can see that we have a lot of regular expressions around count, replace, substring, and we have already defined all those functions that where you would find them. We have grouped them together, like aggregate functions, bitwise functions, conditional, date and time. I give you a very simple example of date and time and how useful this is. This is for one of our largest banking customer in North America. They operate out of more than 40 countries. They're running a very mission critical program called anti-money laundering. So what their job is to do is they take the data from various 40 different countries, they put it into their North America data center, where they apply all those various transformations, and they cleanse the data, and they put it and they keep it analytics ready. And on top of it, they have SaaS analytics where anti-money laundering related complex algorithms are run, and it is flagging all those fraudulent transactions. Now you can imagine how complex and how time pressured those data engineers would be. Now, since they are working on different 40 countries, the time zone for all those various countries are quite different. And when they run all those operations onto a common data center, the very first thing that they need to do is they need to standardize the date and time. Right. So here we give an option that pretty exhaustive list of functions. How do you want to transform, and you want to keep your time stamp and time zone standardized, so that across your data, whatever you're receiving across the various different countries, that stays in the most standardized way, and your operations are pretty efficient and effective. That's pretty much right. So you can run exhaustive list of expressions, and out of which whatever target that you have, you can also streamline those operations, right? You can select those attributes, and let's say you are running that into a target. So you can simply run, click on run, and that's where your pipeline would start running. If you go to monitor module, you'll be able to see that this pipeline has already been completed, right? You can also see the various statistics. We have a pretty extensive logs for data engineers to monitor. So all those things are quite possible on a single platform. Now, next thing which comes is that for my data pipeline, how do you create a job out of it? This is just a data flow. So again, you can create in the job flow, you can create certain task command. You can also transfer your files after your data flow is completed. You can create that into loop, so that any pipelines or any files which are getting created, you want to run that into a loop. Or if you want to schedule these pipelines, we have a scheduler module. That's where what you can do is like you can time out your you can plan your time, that whether you want to watch for a file, which whether it's available, then you want to do it, or you want to run that on a regular basis. So all those operations are quite possible. You can choose what's a frequency, what you want to do once it fails and all, right? We also have a monitor module. So any pipelines that you have executed, you'll be able to see right after here. You can also choose those time frame. You can rerun it as an instance from a point of failure, as well as we also have a very interesting model called SQL editor. So when you work with, let's say, different 7 sources, what you need to do is like you might need to run certain SQL queries on a different platform. You might need certain different SQL clients, and you need to provide those passwords and port number and everything. Here, it comes pretty simple for all your operations that you have, right? If you go to SQL query, you can choose your data source or data point that you've created. We use the same ID password that you've given to data point, and you can run certain query, or if you want to use this query onto your query editor, you can copy it and then you can run it, and we'll be able to do all data profiling and everything at one place. So that's pretty much about this platform, how it really helps you to keep your frequency of change up to the mark. Right now, I'm moving to a new section where we have enrolled certain, we have introduced GenAI specific capabilities. And let me share my screen. We have a recorded video because when it runs on a volumes of data, it really takes a very long time. So I've created a video so that I can fast forward some of those things, and I do not waste your time, but you get the idea that how exactly it works. Okay. I hope you can see my screen. Okay, awesome. So as part of this our capability, what we are doing is that we are giving an option which data set that we want to run and apply certain GenAI capabilities. So we primarily want you to create a business glossary, data descriptions, which you can generate in the data object, or let's say you want to ask questions into English language kind of a query, right? So at the beginning, it will ask you that what's your data source or what's your data set on which you want to run. So we have 3 options. Either you can choose Snowflake-based table, or you can choose a file server where you have CSV file on which you want to run, or you can also choose a PurpleCube pipeline, which I just executed. So you just choose the pipeline, and the background will take all the data which as an output it has been created. So for demo purpose, I'm choosing Snowflake just for everybody for ease of understanding. We are fetching the data and we are using that. So I'm choosing those schemas and tables and everything. So let me fast forward a little bit. This is around telecom churn. How do I really know that how my data for telecom customers look like? So I'm running ahead. My data on the table data sets that I've already uploaded that. It has been gone to GenAI capabilities. Now this is the first question that I'm asking. What is the distribution of my customer age? So as a first question, because it doesn't know your preferred answer, type of answer, it will first give you a list in a tabular format that what is your specific age of your customer, and then it will create a pie chart also. It will create a bar chart also for you that what's the distribution of your customer age across your data set. Now let me ask a different and little difficult question that analyze the number of customers using multiple lines. So in telecom, you have broadband, you have phone line, you have mobile. So there are multiple lines, right? So I'm asking that, distribute my customers across single line or multiple lines. And you can see that based on the English language question, it is giving me those answers in a bar chart, which is very easy for me to understand. And I don't need to go to millions lines of row. This is pretty difficult for a business analysis, right? Again, I'm giving more difficult question that give me the top 5 reasons for a customer churn, why they have moved out, right? So you'll be able to see when you collect survey from your various users, it will really help you with all those top 5 reasons that competitor has a better device or they have a better product and XYZ. Now, as part of your agile stories, if you want to download, this will get downloaded as a image, which is perfect evidence for your stories to attach and complete and all. So that's also something which is available as part of this platform. I'm moving slightly faster, where I will ask even more complex questions around, you analyze the relationship between monthly charges and the total revenue of the customer. So again, it will run certain program in the background, and then it will give me a very complicated scatter plot chart where it will help me understand how relationship between monthly charges and a specific total revenue is encountered. I'm moving to the last part, which is around business quality. Sorry, data quality. Right. So as part of my data engineering exercise, it's very important that I maintain the data quality, uh, so that the efficiency of my any specific outcomes, like being data analysis or machine learning algorithms, everything is pretty efficient, right? And that's where you really need to run certain data quality rules across your data tables and everything. So I'm skipping to the part where I have very specific things on uh, data quality. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to ask questions that for my data set, can you recommend me what are the top 5 data quality rules which I can apply, as well as let me know the compliance status, right? So this is something which I'm asking Gen AI, again in a plain English language query, that you suggest me 5 data quality rules applicable to this data. You will be able to see that, first rule, missing values for certain table. So customer ID as a data attribute, you do not have any missing rule, sorry, missing value, as well as for all other various attributes, you will be able to see everything. Are there any duplicates? Are there any outliers? So accordingly, it will not only suggest or recommend those 5 most applicable quality rules, but it will also run it against your data set, and it will tell you that which are the non-compliant rows, or which are the non-compliant values. Right. So this is pretty simple, and what we think is that with the help of Gen AI, we can really bridge the gap between the business, the technology, and the outcomes that we want to achieve. With this in mind, I hope I've been able to make it very clear that if you want to be a best engineering manager, where rate or frequency of the change is pretty high, you are getting more stories to achieve and accomplish your business objectives. How do you stay ahead of the game? You do not require a complex programming. Data engineers, your kick-ass data engineers can create pipelines at pretty ease within few minutes, and they can run it across the environments and platform. I hand it over back to the team, and for the next session on question answers. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Kaushal and Raheel. Very interesting, and it is spot on the what is required for many of us, that is providing solution and technology in terms of data services and data pipelining, and also facilitating our data engineers, data scientists, and all the stakeholders. It is pretty obvious that how this our choices on having PurpleCube as our business partner would enable us to cater for our clients' needs, especially in bridging what Kaushal just recently mentioned, on bridging on how quote unquote common people, or even the CIO, or even the executive level, or those in the position of decision making, will be able to directly query without technical knowledge, because previously we need to bring along our data engineer that construct a specific query with their specific languages or tools to be able to give answers. And also by incorporating AI, that's a huge leapfrog on our ability to not enrich, but deriving actual meaningful business related value to our existing data. Allow me to quickly skim through on how the PurpleCube would giving additional value to our existing portfolio. So I'm sharing my screen now. At Sibernetik, we are having 3 main services that we do. that is data services, exactly doing pipelines and processing and constructing and transforming on how the existing data um, to be for downstream application and needs, that is analytical, other business processes, or even super application or mobile application. And also we also provide an application services where we develop and implement and also operate a customized application. And at this stage, we are specializing in geospatial analytics and visualization. And also we provide microservices. We develop microservices and provide to our client. At the security services, we have a portfolio of solution and also partners where we can cater for how they run their SecOps and also the cyber security. And of course, we have a portfolio of clients. Currently, we are very financial services industry heavy. We have a lot of clients and we have a lot of experience in implementing with these clients. And yes, we are very familiar with data pipelining and how painful and diverse and siloed and different data sources and also target for providing informations. And also telecommunication, that is smartphone telecom. So these are top tier telecom provider in Indonesia. And also we are working for armed forces and government departments. And I can skip through. In relation with something like PurpleCube, these are our common pipelines that we are dealing. We are dealing with core system. We are dealing with tens of millions of rows per day, even hundreds of millions, where we very slowly been able to collect this data and transform them and then preparing them for the operational data system, data store, and also for data warehousing and data mart. And we are patching this data. And once they're in, we have a very painful way to actually derive on a predefined. We are yet to be able to respond reactively on requirements of the business. So these are the challenges that we believe by combining, by having PurpleCube as our partner, we'll be able to answer. And as you see on the right-hand side, we have other layers where the landed data are very diverse and scattered. As you can see, we are partnering with very well-known and amongst the top Gartner quadrant providers for data integration, that is Click. And also it has the ETL tools, and Talent as actually is recently joining Click as part of the solution. So we have one of the best there is tools for ETL. And then Click also has a Click Replicate and also Click Sense that is on the CDC real-time data capture and also for visualization. And of course, we also have the Confluent. This is the central service bus for our data pipelining. And those who are part of the implementing Kafka, once it is there, it is ready to distribute, and it is being distributed. Once it's in its silo, we are very hardly have the ability to get it out again. And then we have imply. This is at the downstream and on how, because we are dealing with a lot of massive data, on how we are able to have this big data and ready for all analytical workloads. But however, using imply, as I said, it requires a predetermined set of what you want to answer. So we prepare them beforehand instead of being asked. to be able to ask, it has the capability to be able to impromptu being asked in real time. However, you need technical knowledge to do so. And then of course, and then we have aerospike. This is a very niche. We have a challenges where we are having a very high volume and high traffic transactional stream. This is the answer. And then of course, we also, because we are working in security and monitoring, all this is combined and being monitored, and we are partnering with Elastic. As you can see, we are missing if you understand all this portfolio of ours, we are missing the data sources. We do not have partnership where in RDBMS, and we do not have direct partnership with big data providers like Snowflake, Cloudera. However, we are very familiar, and we have certified engineers working on those, because we only treating those as an endpoint, exactly as how PurpleCube having them as data sources. So we it's part of our integration and utilizing all these tools. And now we are delighted to, of course, also welcome PurpleCube, Sibernetik, PurpleCube as our business partner, to enrich and also to answer our ability to be able to integrate and unify all those data pipelines and preparing all those data ready for analytical, and also at the same time utilizing a generative AI with all those data combined in a unified orchestrated manner. And that is the about Sibernetik. And now we can, of course, um, uh, continuing to our question and answer session. We already have a very quite challenging questions from a couple of guys here. And this is from Andini, and this is for Raheel. Can you provide a brief overview of our, this is directly to business,
Sure.
AI's pricing, PurpleCube's AI's pricing model, and available subscription fees?
Sure.
Please,
I'll
Raheel.
take that. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that
Yes.
question. So our licensing model is really designed for simplicity and predictability, right? We offer a named user-based licensing, so it's a single line item license, which means that it includes the unified data orchestration platform. It comes with all the connectors that you need and the data sources, and are bundled into a single comprehensive package, right? So this is different than the consumption-based licensing that some of our competitors are offering, which actually might seem cost-effective initially, but can very quickly spiral into extremely high costs as your usage grows. So you may end up actually having serious budget issues. So with our approach, you get complete transparency, control over your investment, ensuring that you avoid any unexpected surprises down the road. So that's on the model. We've got three tiers to cater to different organizational needs, right? So we have the Express edition, we have the Advanced edition, we have the Enterprise edition. Express is basically for small teams. If you want to do a quick pilot project, you just need a few connectors, basic processing capabilities. You can go ahead with Express. Advanced is for more growing teams. It offers advanced connectors, enhanced data processing, and then the additional storage that you need. And then finally the enterprise, which is 7 out of 10 of our customers will fall into the enterprise category, where you basically have all the connectors, unlimited data processing, and it comes with a 24/7 comprehensive support. So that's basically on the three tiers that we offer. Just one more thing I just want to add to it, which is very important when you are budgeting for a data platform, right, is the return on investment. Right? So our solution basically is built with ROI in mind from day one. So we offer this whole unified data platform that consolidates all your data orchestration in a single platform. So you don't need multiple tools, reducing both complexity and cost. Right? And then the faster time to value our solution delivers, which means that you start seeing results very, very quickly. Maximizing your investment. So that's basically where we ensure that every dollar you spend contributes directly to your business goal, and that's basically on the licensing, the packaging, and a bit on ROI as well. I mean, more information available on our website where we have actually detailed these licensing options for you. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much, Raheel. And the next following questions will be a little bit technical, and I hope Kaushal doesn't mind. In relation to also the implementation, can PurpleCube manage? This is from Pa Andy. Thank you very much, Pa Andy. Can PurpleCube manage Cloudera CDP? Of course, being technical, also Cloudera, I can see that you have a Hive, you have a HBase, you have Hadoop data sources, and on the on premise, when the license expired, that is to
Yes, it
directly
does. It
access the
does. We
Hadoop
very well connect.
base and Hive. Yes. So even though it is being out of subscription from Cloudera, do you actually have experience on having directly access the storage layer, that is the HDFS on Hadoop, or even the HBase instance? So
Yeah, of
please.
course. Yeah, sure. No, well, thanks for this question. I think this is pretty interesting. And we do see a lot of our customers use Cloudera. A very specific question that has been asked is, even though license is expired, right? As long as
You seems like being cut off.
it unstructured the data through driver-based implementation, we have our own customized cloud era-based libraries, which are pretty efficient, uh, which is what it will really help you to extract the data, where you can treat your storage in the cloud era as your data source. And then if you want to process them to any different uh, uh, distributed compute, like let's say Spark or Databricks or Snowflake, you can very well process them, and then you can then put it back to your data warehouse. Or even if you have certain MPP platforms for processing a large volume of data, that's also quite possible. So inherently, what we use is agent and control-based architecture, very similar to what you see on the cloud, which is pretty scalable and resilient. So as long as we have those agents being installed on those storage, and it allows you to extract those libraries, which is, again, it's a very native connection, so it will happen pretty secured way. And we take those security measures and compliance very seriously. So it will really definitely help you extract the data from Cloudera, even though your license is expired, as long as it will allow you to extract the data from a storage. Yes, Perfect can extract the data.
Thank you, Kaushal. While you're at it, there's also another question from Pajulut. Thank you for your question. Does PurpleCube AI can handle data integration across different cloud platforms like AWS or Azure? This is both as a source and as a target, or also as an enrichment.
Of course, this is again a very good question. Thank you very much. Yes, certainly. PurpleCube AI is designed to be platform agnostic. So it really allows you to connect with any specific cloud sources, or even as a target, so that you can extract the data seamlessly. You can integrate the data seamlessly across any cloud platforms, be it AWS, Azure, GCP. A platform uses a unified approach that connects with all your the various cloud environments through a variety of pre-built connectors. And these connectors are basically, it will ensure that your data flows smoothly between different systems without any need of complexity configurations and all, right? We do manage all those configurations within our platform itself. This is to ensure that you can deal with structured data, semi-structured data, as well as the block storage or object storage kind of data, which is what you store on S3 and those kind of buckets. Right. So PurpleCube manages this entire integration process so that you we ensure that your data is always available, consistent, and ready for analysis, regardless of where it is stored, cloud, on-prem, any specific cloud. It's pretty much possible.
Okay, thank you, Kaushal. Um, the next question will be in regard to security, on security. However, allow me to, it's from Pak Yusuf. Terima kasih. Thank you very much, Pak Yusuf. Allow me to rephrase the question to be um, on how PurpleCube AI ensures data security and compliance, in particular in industry with strict regulation, and also on how PurpleCube AI ensure that it is being securely properly secured, as it is going to be the central as it is going to be acting as a centralized data platform.
Sure. Okay, again, a very great question. And I can tell you, based on my experience, is not serious about the regulations. When it comes to finance industries, we have pretty long list of customers. They have a very tight, strict regulation, not from a organization's specific really need to follow very strict compliances. Right. So happy to tell you that PurpleCube takes the data security and compliances very seriously, like I mentioned in my previous question as well. And I hope I have been able to demonstrate how securely we transfer the data, very specifically in the industries where these regulations are pretty stringent, right? Our platform is built with robust encryption protocols, even while data is extracted or it is being transferred to your processing engine, and then from your data warehouse. You can pretty well control as a data engineer or data architect whenever the extraction is happening, whenever the processing is happening in between across these channels. If you want to encrypt it, you want to apply specific encryption algorithm which you have and which is standard or compliant in your organization, that is also quite possible. You can bring on all your specific encryption algorithms, and you can encrypt your data while data is on move from your source to then your staging or your processing platform to then to back to your data warehouse. So with this, I can really ensure that by adhering to this industry best practices, and of course, we are a pretty innovative product, so we continually update and upgrade our security measures, and we do ensure that your data remains protected and compliant with all relevant regulations. So whenever you have installed this platform, along with your actual data plus metadata, as well as the data pipelines that you have created, plus user IDs, passwords, everything that you have, that stays within your enterprise, right? So it could be your cloud or it could be your on-premise. Everything stays within your controlled environment. We do not take any single biodata out of your environment, so it's that secure.
Okay, thank you, Kaushal. The next question is from Ahmad. It is also just Kaushal just answered that the infrastructure can be implemented as an on-premise system. However, let me reread the question: where the PurpleCube data center is located, we cannot bring the data across the country. Broader in the case of healthcare data in such a sensitive data nature. Can you reiterate what you've just mentioned, please? Thank you.
All right, so I given a very specific example of one of the largest bank in North America. That operates in more than 40 countries, right? So every country has different rules with specific to their data centers and the securities. At the same time, they have certain guidelines on certain processes if they want to take their data out to a data center. That's the business imperative, right? They have a common data center where they want to process your data. So whenever the data extraction happens, that happens native to those data centers, right? So very specific to those countries. And while after the extraction is happening, we do it through agent and controller-based architecture. So this agent are installed. It's a very small components which are supposed to be installed on your data sources. It ensures we have a native and secured connection, as well as while the data extraction is happening, after those big data files like HDFS files and everything which is getting created, which is memory and resource optimized, you can encrypt those files. from the data extraction standpoint. So all the data that you club together into a HTTPS file, that stays encrypted. So again, you can have those encrypted algorithms, howsoever your difficult compliance or difficult encryption algorithm would be. You can apply that, or we also have a standard algorithm, encrypted algorithm available in our platform. So that's number one, at an outlook of how you extract the data and how it would stay compliant to specific data centers when you transfer data across the data center. Second, if you have certain sensitive data, which is, let's say, personal information about specific customers and social security numbers and all those related items, you want to mask it even while you extract it, right? So that's also quite possible. In our platform, we have a data masking transformation component. So when you attach or you identify those specific data attributes which are pretty sensitive in nature, you can mask them. So once your data is extracted, that will have the masked entries or of your sensitive data, and on top of it, you apply certain encryption after you've extracted the data into HTTPS files. So that way, we doubly ensure that your data is protected and it stays with the toughest compliance of your specific organization. I hope it answers your question.
Thank you, Kaushal. So to summarize, it has been deployed as an on-premise airtight systems because you have been implementing in PurpleCube is being implemented in banks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we are pretty flexible. So when it comes to deployment profile, we're pretty flexible. It can be implemented on-prem. Even some of the organizations, they come from very stringent regulations. They want to deploy this on a VPC based platform, virtual private cloud. That's also quite possible. Or if you have some hybrid cloud, you want to make it public for your data engineers, that's also quite possible. Pretty flexible in terms of your hybrid deployment profile. It could be on-prem, it could be VPC, it could be hybrid, or even it could be public if you want to run your analytics on a public data sets and everything. Quite possible.
Sure. The next question is from Pak Sudedi. If you can get this data quickly, can you show a topology diagram of PurpleCube deployment? Or because some of our audience is actually a system integrator, so they would like to see some topology if you have them accessible, quickly accessible for you.
Sure. Let me see if I can find it and I can show it. In the meantime, if you want to address any other questions, we can do that till the time I pull out the slide. How exactly?
Yes. The next question is this is about Sibernetik. This is from Jeremiah. How does Sibernetik support local customers in implementing and customizing PurpleCube AI? The delivery model and the solution providing model of Sibernetik is, of course, we can start from end to end. We will be beginning on being able to assess on how PurpleCube solution is fit to your business requirement. Then, of course, we are very much open to be able to provide proof of concept system on the existing data or system. And then shall we go afterward on the actual implementation and project? We have a strict and disciplined project management and delivery system, a fulfillment system. And of course, we are very closely guided and also accompanied by PurpleCube as a principal. Hopefully that answer question of Pak Jeremiah. So as I said, it is not the how, but the actual implementation that we have to do, that we need to be able to have this kind of tools within Sibernetik. We have been working years and years and with a lot of clients on data services, providing pipelining, formatting, and transforming data source core data to be able to be transformed and used as an operational data or analytical data. However, we are lacking on how to also reuse the data for analytical, for data scientists and AI consumption. This is where the PurpleCube can answer, giving solution and can give answer to those kind of business requirement. And the much interesting part of it is the ability to bridge the gap, that all this data will be available to non-technical data. They'll be able to post queries in natural language instead of cryptic SQL or other um, uh, machine language specific formulas. Those are the specific solution that we can provide by having Sibernetik working together with PurpleCube. Have you got the topology, Kaushal?
Yes, I have got. Let me share my screen. I hope you're able to see my screen.
Yes.
So at a pretty high level, this is how exactly PurpleCube core architecture looks like. Okay, we have a controller that also comes with a local agent, which really helps you to extract the data from cloud-based scalable sources or processing engine. So the local agent really plays a role over there. Or if you have some certain on-prem solutions or the place where you want to extract the data, we also have a remote agent. And this agent are horizontally scalable. So you can distribute them and as well as you can scale them based on meeting your resiliency of your organization. As well as this controller comes with a metadata repository. So any action that you perform, the data flow that you created or data points or data objects that you created, that stays into a metadata repository, right? Which is again highly secured. Uh, all the configurations about the platform, everything stays into metadata repository, meeting the standard compliances for your organization from a platform standpoint. And this is how exactly the architecture looks like for PurpleCube. Now, let's say you want to deploy this to a certain place, or you want to deploy for your organization, or if you want to do it for your client organization, how exactly to do it. So very simple solution. If you want to implement this for on-prem, the controller and agent, howsoever it could be n number of agents scalable, that you can everything you can install it on-prem. Or similar scenario, let's say you have a cloud-based implementation where you want to install both controller and agent on cloud. So that's also quite possible. Or we have a multi-cloud environment where one of your cloud is your data source. So this is the place where you will install just one of the agent, which is distributed and scalable, remote agent, and your controller and your native local agent would stay on a different cloud. So you can uh, connect, this controller will connect with agent which is staying on a, which is installed on a different cloud. It will help you extract the data from that, meeting all those security guidelines and everything, and then from where you can extract the data. So this is also one of the classic example of the deployment where a lot of organizations, pretty mature organization, they want to operate multi-cloud. They don't want to tie their all hands down with just one single player of cloud, right? So you can also have this implementation, as well as this other scenario that I talked about, virtual private cloud, right? So you are working with, let's say, Microsoft Azure or AWS or GCP, and you are very pretty secured VPC. Part of some of the data centers are work. I mean, they have been installed on your private organization, and it's completely private to your organization. So in that case, also you can have this platform being installed, controller as well as the scalable agents, remote agents on your VPC, and you can scale it up and you can scale it down. So all the networking configurations that you apply to VPC or you want to apply it to between the cloud as a part of the controller agent, we have certain configurations around this controller and agent talks to each other through certain port. So as long as those ports are open and we are meeting those standard guidelines, we should be able to interact with a remote agent, and any data that we extract can be extracted locally on that specific cloud or on-premise, and then we can push it to your processing engine, be it Cloudera, Teradata, Snowflake, or anywhere where we can process it, and again, it can be put it back to your data warehouse. And again, we have given a couple of scenarios for hybrid where you have certain implementation on-prem, you also have certain sources on cloud. And again, for those hybrid scenarios also, you can have any number of solutions. And our platform has been designed and architected with Docker-based containers. So if you want to again scale this, you want to uh, horizontally scale, or if you see a lot of load sharing or platform-specific exercises that you want to do, uh, again, you can manage it through Kubernetes. You can spin up more containers based on certain load and everything. So a number of possibilities. We have already taken care of the design aspects for a true or uh, a pretty ideal platform perspective. And as long as it comes for deployment, it's pretty flexible, like I mentioned.
As our we are limited by time. However, this is one last question from Pak or Ibu Ari. Many users do not understand how generative AI works, which can lead to distrust and misunderstanding about its capabilities. How does PurpleCube address the issues like this in your journey so far? That is to say, some sort of because many of the LLM has what we call hallucination. How do you address this kind of uncertainties of the answers from the generative AI?
Again, a pretty smart question, I must appreciate. The most difficult questions. So when it comes to generative AI, uh, you know, our platform ideology, when it comes to PurpleCube, is pretty simple, that we want to give flexibility and we want to empower our data engineers, right? So the solution that I've demonstrated for generative AI, very similar to processing engine. If you remember back to the demo that I given, when you create any data flow or data pipeline, it really asks where you want to run this on, right? So very similar to this for generative AI also, we give data engineers and architects a choice of their own LLM model, right? So if you have certain implemented in-house implemented LLM model, you can choose that, or else we also have an option for all three: Llama, OpenAI with GPT 3.5 Turbo, as well as 4o Mini, and Gemini, which is before it was called Vertex. So we have those standard libraries for all three LLM models. You can choose the model which has been best fine-tuned for your organization, and it meets your specific complexities and compliance perspective. That is number one. We are not leaving this place just by giving those choices, right? Uh, of course, there are certain questions around hallucination, security, and privacy and everything. When it comes to that, I'd like to address one by one. So let me talk about hallucination first. Whenever you think of hallucination, most probably, it happens when you want to work on unstructured data. You have certain PDF files, you have certain chunks of information or knowledge. That is where you ask certain questions, and the information that your RAG application or your LLM process, if it doesn't really find a very high correlation in the answers that it extracts, that's where it gets confused, it hallucinates, and it provides a pretty weird answer, which is something that will not be able to, you wouldn't anticipate or you wouldn't expect. That is what we call hallucination, right? The fortune of PurpleCube AI and the LLM model is that when you work with structured data, that is the where you will not see hallucination. It's already structured data. It will find a very high correlation with your data set that you prepared. In my demo, when I showed that, how does it really connect with a Snowflake, or how does it really connect with the pipeline which you have executed on PurpleCube, which is your final data set, right? So it runs on that specific data set. Now, whatever question that you ask, our LLM model, our platform has been designed to convert that question, English language question, into a SQL query or a Python program, right? Back to LLM, when it throws this SQL query or Python program, it runs natively on your network, the virtual environment of Python or any Jupyter notebooks that you have. That is the place which is, again, you can configure that. That is the place where it will run, will execute your SQL query, and it will, or it will run a Python program, and whatever output it has, it will show it to you. So when it comes to running a SQL query, it will not hallucinate. It will have binary answers. Either it will tell that, okay, they have been able to successfully run that SQL query, or it is not. Similarly, for Python program also, if it has been able to generate a pretty accurate Python program, and it will demonstrate the result back to you, or else it will really tell that, okay, the answers are primarily binary, because we are dealing with structured or semi-structured data, where source of information is pretty definite, right? Unlike the unstructured, where it runs a lot of RAG combinations. It divides your information into various chunks, and when these chunks, information chunks, have a high correlation, or if it is completely non-related to your question, that's where it will hallucinate, and it will throw anything that it has been trained before as part of their base model or as part of their core transformer. Uh, that's where it will hallucinate. The really beauty of the data is that it always works on structure and semi-structure, where source of information is pretty definite. You know that how exactly those data attributes look like, or how does the business description of those data attribute really appears like, how exactly you have done your data modeling. So I have not seen personally, to be honest, hallucination perspective. What I've seen is that accuracy. Some of the times the SQL query it runs or the Python program it runs might not be very accurate, or it will throw certain errors. So across my solution, if you go back to the recordings that we have done, you'll also see a logs, right? So those Python programs or SQL queries which has been executed, you'll also see those logs. And for data engineers, if you get your logs, it's kind of, you're getting those ideal symptoms for doctors, so that it would be pretty easy to diagnose the issue or problem. So if you get the logs of your system, whatever you have executed, you'll be able to figure out the primary. To answer to your question in terms of hallucination, it doesn't hallucinate. Either it will tell 0 or it will tell 1. Whether it has been able to successfully execute or it is not been able to execute, it will fail. And apart from that, it will also share you the logs, which is where you can do analysis and everything. So that's number one. Second comes to security and compliances. Like I mentioned, the SQL query it generates or the Python program it runs, you can configure to run it on your local environment, on your local Jupyter notebooks, right? So again, it stays on your infrastructure, on your premises. So that way you can meet all your compliance and security perspective, whatever compliance standards that you have. And again, when it comes to LLMs, you can again have a choice of your own LLM. So if you have certain LLMs which you have trained, fine-tuned on your organization data, which yields very high, effective, and efficient answers, then again, you can directly use that. Or if you think you want a pretty standard and uh, high accuracy models around 40 billion parameters and all, you can again choose the most widely used industry LLMs like OpenAI, Gemini, or even Llama. You can use those inferences, and you can directly onboard to your platform. We give that choice to data engineers primarily. That's the ideology that we believe, and will continue to evolve. Any new features also, whatever we give, this is a Bible for us. Like, this is a standard rule for us, that we want to give flexibility to data engineers. We'll not lock them out with any specific, this is how exactly you can do. You'll have all the options. Perfect.
You're on mute, Arief. Arief, you're on mute. You're on mute, Arief.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Kaushal. Although we can take the LLM itself as a black box, however, all the steps taken and the results being generated from PurpleCube is very transparent and open book, and can be traversed back through its log. Thank you very much. As that finalize our question and answer session, I thank all the attendees for this webinar, and special thanks to Raheel and Kaushal for joining us and providing us with a very informative and solution-oriented presentation. and we can now conclude this message. Hold on. Yes. Last chance for anyone amongst the attendees who would have direct questions. Anyone? Yes, Andini, please. Okay. Um, just anyway, that this will conclude our webinar. It is such a pleasure to be able to moderate and host this meeting. Thank you for attendees, and special thanks to our partner from PurpleCube. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
All right.
Thank you. Nice speaking to you. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye.